Hey everybody, welcome to the V'ger Network, where we always seek the Creator. Thanks again for stopping by, checking us out. And if you have a comment or want to start a discussion, feel free to do it below this video wherever you happen to see it. You can also email us at thevjernetwork@gmail.com. Now, if you want some different news than what you're currently getting through Facebook or the standard media or the newspapers, you might want to check out John Krasinski's Some Good News. That's his YouTube channel. It's pretty funny. He interacts with people that leave him comments and stuff. It's pretty great, and it's uplifting and fun. Now, we're going to do something just a little bit different for this episode because we have mail. And this mail comes to us from actually a good friend of mine. His name is Jason. He lives in Woodbridge. What's up, Jason? And he starts it off with a quote from the movie Dune. And it says, this quote from Paul Atreides, Muad'Dib, as he's addressing the Fremen and the Emperor of the known galaxy towards the end of the story. The quote is, "We Fremen have a saying, God created Arrakis to train the faithful. One should not go against the word of God." And then he follows it up with a question. He says, "What is your Arrakis? What tests your faith?" All right, so let's back up just a little bit for those who don't know. Dune is a book written by Frank Herbert back in the 60s. A couple episodes ago, we actually did a little thing on Dune. You can check out that episode. That'd be cool. But the planet Dune, also named Arrakis, is a desert planet. The entire planet is a desert. There are no oceans, there's no rivers, there's no lakes. The indigenous, so to speak, people that live there, the ones that have been there the longest, they are humans, are called the Fremen. And they have learned to capture moisture from the air in these caches within the rocks that are there in the desert. They've also adapted suits that capture the body's sweat, filters it, recirculates it, and makes it drinkable. I mean, their entire existence revolves around the moisture in the air, the water that they can get. Because there is no other source. It's not like they can just turn on a tap or they can run down to the nearest creek. So it's very, 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 very precious. Now, throughout the book, they are waiting for someone to show up to lead them basically out of this desert, to change the face of Arrakis. And that, of course, character ends up being Paul Atreides. So, what does it mean that the planet was made by God to test or train the faithful? Well, again, if you don't learn the ways of living on that planet, you could die. And that's one of the story points, is when Paul Muad'Dib has to go into the desert. He has to learn this. And he can either grow from that training, that testing, or he can fail, and in this case it would mean death. Throughout the Old Testament, there's multiple references to the refiner's fire. Basically, you can't create a diamond without pressure. Gold isn't gold until it's refined and the impurities are melted away. All these things, you get this beautiful creation out of some sort of an extreme condition. Let me break it down slightly more simply. And I take this from a story that I heard on K-Love, the radio station. Let's say you're walking down the street and you have a cup. And the cup starts to shake a little bit because you're walking fast. You trip and it spills, right? So what spills out of that cup? It's whatever you have in it. It's coffee, it's tea. In my case, it's Dr. Pepper. But something spills out of that cup. Now let's apply that to our lives. Things happen, things come up. It's really easy to be stable and secure when things are going good. It's easy to worship and give thanks. It's easy that way. But where do we stand when something happens that's not easy? What spills out of us? Is it animosity? Is it hate? Is it anger? Is it cursing? Is it a complete change in character? Do we lose what we were? You see, because when we're shaken, we're stirred up, the real us, the inside us, comes out. And the thing is that throughout the Bible, throughout the Old Testament and the New Testament, it's never said that we're going to have easy lives, that everything's going to be great. In Isaiah, it does say, God is talking to his people. He says, I will refine you with affliction. I'm going to make it so I know that you want to be with me. I mean, that's pretty harsh, you know? That's like a crazy thing. I mean, but we do that to one another, don't we? Maybe subconsciously, but we're always waiting to be let down somehow. So we're testing each other in a manner of speaking, waiting. Are they worthy of my friendship? Are they worthy to hang out with me? Are they worthy to be my husband, my wife, my girlfriend, my boyfriend? So we're putting little tests in front of them as well. You know, it's interesting because in Romans, Paul talks about this, and he talks about how trials build endurance, and endurance builds strength of character. And that strength of character, in turn, builds strength of our confidence in our salvation. So, again, when you get to the end of these trials, when you get to the end of these circumstances that are testing you, that are training you, what happens? Did you come out the end and turn your back on everything that you said that you believed in? Or did you grow from that? Because here's the thing about tests. They teach you where you need to work. Think about school. You took a test. If you failed it, you knew what you needed to work on, right? Even in our careers, we take education classes, we take continuing education courses, which we have to pass tests on. And if we fail them, or if we get low scores, we know the areas that we need to work in. So these tests can be looked at in different ways. So again, the question becomes, what happens? What do we do? If you're on Arrakis, do you learn how to live on Arrakis, or do you die in the deep desert? It's something to think about. Now, the question was directed to me. What was my Arrakis? What was my test of faith? Well, I can tell you over the last few years, it has been in relationships. In particular, I had some friends that I considered very dear. I considered brothers, Christian brothers. And they let me down exceptionally hard. I felt abandoned, and these were by people who were Christians, are Christians. So I had an option. I could grow and change my attitude and move from that and learn from that, or I could feed the hate, feed the venom, and hate those people and say bad things about them or whatever, but then that doesn't show that I'm a Christian if I did all those things. It would actually show that I failed the pressure. Under that pressure of loss, I was weak. I'd like to think that I passed it. I'd like to think that I've come out on the other side. I guess that's up for you guys to decide out there. So, leave a comment. Let us know what you think. But I'll turn the question back on you guys. What is your Arrakis? What is your trial that you may be going through? Think about it. Leave a comment. I'll catch you later. Joy.